Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. Uh, I just want to start by saying this morning, I want to say this pledge. I saw this from the Black Panthers, and I just changed up some of the wording to really fit, today's times. But I wanted to say this. So, pledge for brotherhood. Starting from this day, I hold no grievances against my fellow black men. My mission isn't to cause you distress or harm. Rather, it's to endorse and elevate you. We already have plenty of adversaries. Stay secure and resilient out here, my black brothers. Um, I wanted to put that out there because the simple fact of there's not enough black unity. There's not enough unity, period. I know a lot of people don't want to believe in, the Willie Lynch letter, the makings of a slave, the makings of a Negro Christian. But those are really things that actually did maybe not happen the way that they perceive in history. But those are things that they literally did happen. We look into society today, and what do we see? We see everything to divide us and not unite us. Um, so that's definitely something that needs to be discussed, needs to be talked about. Is how is it that we have so many dividers, but not enough unifiers. You know, and that's something that I think about constantly. Is how can we unite people instead of dividing? Uh, and that's something yet I still haven't quite figured out because there's so many divisions. You know, uh, when it comes to age, when it comes to what people may consider as rank, when it comes to colorisms, ageisms, genderisms, and we just so many dividers instead of just seeing people for what they really are, human beings. We want to look at people for what they have or what they may not have, or maybe the quality of their education, maybe the quality of their housing, maybe the quality of their car, and not just looking at the individual, not looking at the person. And sometimes we see not at them, but right past them instead of just looking at them. And I think that is something that really, really, it needs to be talked about. Why do people look down on others when they don't even know the person? They don't know those circumstances. They don't know the journey that they had to endure to get where they are today. So why do we judge? I really want to know, why do we judge when we're basically judging a book by its cover instead of getting to know? It's just like in today's times, right? We're so caught, and I'm not. And here's the thing of it is, I don't want people thinking that, oh, he ain't shit. He bring up, he talks about history. Yes, I talk about history because history plays a humongous part in what we deal with today, for the simple fact of we have never honestly fully dealt with the past. And that's why we're still dealing with the past today, is because we have never fully dealt with the injustices, the wrongs done in the past. And now today in 2023, we're trying to do everything for 150 years instead of, that's what we need to look at, because we need to figure out we are why that where we're at right now. And the only way we're doing that is going back into history and understanding history and knowing history, because history and education are the passport to the future. And we really have to look at that, because if we're making the same mistakes, and I'm going to be 100% honest, we're literally making the same mistakes that our ancestors, that our family members, our mentors, our leaders have made in the past. How are we not? You know, I really, really sit there and I think about it. Me and John Tail will be going live later. I really want to talk about Selma, Alabama, what happened there. With the cruise ship. Um, Literally for me, and I won't get into much, details or talk about it too much, because I really do want to talk about it with John Tell. Um, and I know everybody knows about it, so but I will give a little brief description, and later we will play the full. I think it's like 9-minute video um, of the altercation of how it started, how it ends, so that way people get a uh, full clarity and clarification of actually what happened with the situation, so they don't see, because in the video you just see, an argument and then boom, bam, wham. But there's so much more to that story, and I think people need to fully understand what came with that story, what started it. It's just like when it comes to this police brutality movement, and we sit here and we fight for this body cam footage to be released, and what they give us is edited footage. Because I honestly don't believe, if it wasn't for Darnella Frazier, taking the video of Derek Chauvin murdering George Floyd, I really don't feel like we would get the justice that we got. I don't think the uprising, because to be honest, I don't understand why the uprising isn't the same way that it is right now with Ricky Cobb II, for the simple fact of we saw an unarmed black man be murdered, and by the police at the hands of a police officer, and it wasn't justified. There wasn't no, there's been plenty of police officers that have came out and said that that was not a justifiable shoot. We've literally had people that were Minnesota police chiefs for the U of M, and who was the deputy chief of Minneapolis PD, and said from what he's seen on the video and what they've seen so far, no, that's not there. There was no reason to use lethal force. There was none. Um, and the simple fact of the stop, there was so many things wrong with that stop, but nobody wants to talk about it. The Minnesota Police Officers Association, they're not pinpointing the mistakes that this trooper made. They want to pinpoint it and put it all on Ricky Cobb instead of, and that's the problem, because nobody's saying that, I will be the first to say it. I'm not saying that Ricky was right to sit there and to pull off. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that this situation, the police, because they didn't have a warrant, so there was no reason. And I'm going to put it like this: of my understanding of the law, right? I'm no lawyer. All I've done is literally gone into um, law libraries when I was in prison, law libraries when I've gone through my cases, and I will say it like this: that I would have did the same thing Ricky did, because first of all, they didn't have no warrant. You can't even tell me why you have me pulled over. You can't tell me why you want to hold me, why you're detaining me, but yet the whole time I'm asking for my rights, and I'm asking for an attorney, and yet they still trying to pull me out of my vehicle, and still yet not giving me any reasons of why they're detaining. So I would have done the same thing. I honestly believe that trooper should have called um, a supervisor and got some more clarification. That's the whole thing for me, is why is it that, when policing, nobody's saying that. I'm not putting all the blame on one party, but what I'm saying is that when it comes to who did excessive, the state troopers were excessive, not Ricky. Ricky did what was in his rights. Ricky did what his rights were told him to do, because as a black man, we have to stand up and fight for ourselves. Because I understand, Ricky, here's the thing of it is, and what people don't realize, right? In being a black man, there's situations that come up where it's either fight or flee, right? Flight or flee. So, or fight or flee. So why why not? I want people to really think about that. We've seen instances where when you're black, you either, it doesn't matter that you didn't do nothing. It doesn't matter that he was just driving. It doesn't matter that his even taillights were working, because they literally, in the video, you see his taillights working the whole time. but yet they show one still shot with his tail lights not working, and we don't even know when that video was taken. That's the crazy part. Nobody's asking when that video was taken. Was it taken at the end after he crashed? Was the video at 1:49 when they seen him drive past in the morning? Like, these questions need to be answered. When was that video taken? Because when you look at it on um, the dash cam, it doesn't really show you. It doesn't tell you what time, because we understand, and what we know from the whole incident, and what transparency State Patrol and the BCA has given us, is the fact that Ricky was pulled over at 1:50 in the morning, right? But the video that they showed us starts at 2:15 in the morning. So that's 25 minutes. What happened to those 25 minutes that are missing? What happened? Because I know MDOT has it. Just like you can literally, if you look on the MDOT cameras and you look on the 94 and 42nd camera, what you see is where the Ricky spot. That's what you see. You see Ricky's spot, right? You see Subway. You see the VTOL sign, which where her office is at. You know, you see I-94. You see where they killed Linnell Frazier. You know, because the camera does move around. So you got to think about it. On 41st, you have Linnell Frazier. 42nd and Lindell, you have Ricky Cobb II. Now, Brian Cummings pleaded guilty. Do I believe? For what the charges that Mr. Cummings, ex-officer Cummings, pled to? Do I agree with that? Fuck no. Because we simply see the same shit when it happens to people in our communities. Uh, they don't get them kind of sentences. You know, they don't get slaps on the wrist. Uh, and that's the problem for me. And that's part of the problem that needs to be solved and needs to be changed, for the simple fact we all need to be seen equally. A mistake is a mistake. You know, and sometimes mistakes you have to pay consequences for. Isn't that part of when you make a mistake, and you learn your lesson, and a lesson learned, so that you can move forward? Because I thought this was about when we know better, we do better. But yet all I see is people sticking up for bad policing, or sticking up for bad teaching, or sticking up for bad politicians, or, you know, hospitals, and giving these people excuses instead of holding them accountable. Because if we held people accountable, we wouldn't even be in 90% of the positions that we would be in, the situations we wouldn't be in, if we stood on our ground. You know, literally, I, instead of coming out here and talking about defunding the police, coming out here and talking about burning up shit, what does that do? Because I mean, I'm down with it, but what does it do? Because if there's no organization behind it, there's no strategic, there's no, and that's what fucks me up all about all of this, right? It's because you have so many people that want to be renegades, they want to be reckless, and say that they're organized, and if they don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Well, what are y'all falling for when you're sitting here? You're leading people into criminal charges. You're leading people into criminal charges. That makes no sense to me. That makes none. Because if you're not, here's my thing of it is, right? And I want people to remember this, right? If you're following somebody and they're asking y'all to do something, but they're not there with you, that means you're doing something that they wouldn't do. And you're a blind follower. So when people were out there posting the address of that officer, were they out there with you? Did y'all see Rotten Apples, whoever the fuck that is? Did you see them out there? Did you see them out there? So if they're not going to be out there, why would you be out there? That's what I want to know. If you, they're not going to be out there, why are you going to be out there? That's the same thing I ask these BLM leaders, right? How y'all going to do marches and rallies and protests, right? But the minute massa say something, y'all buck down and be quiet. Y'all listen. It's like, oh, Master spoke. He gonna cut, he gonna cut that check. We gotta listen. Hell no, I got rent to pay. I need some new Louis. I need some Christian Dior. I need some red bottoms, Shit, I got a trip going to Mexico. Fuck that. If I get paid by the city, I'm a motherfucking piggy. No, man, what the fuck is wrong with y'all? That's the whole thing of it is these people don't stand by any means necessary. That shit is just words to them. They don't. You know what's crazy is when we be out here chanting, right? When we say the Asada chant, how many people actually mean that to break those chains so that everybody's free? Because that's not what I see. I don't see unity. Because when you say that Asada chant, it should be about unity. It should be about breaking these chains unified. But that's not what you see on these streets. It's not unified. It's so divided. It's so egotistical. It's so narcissistic. It's so conniving. It's so such a farce. Such a farce. And people still don't even see it. We still don't even see it. People will tell you to go vote in November. I'm gonna tell them people to shut the fuck up. Cause what does voting never do? What does voting do, right? What does voting do? Because it's only got us deeper in shit. Democrats say vote for us, right? But yet they're coming all these tweets, they're giving out their thoughts and prayers. But where was the legislation? Because you guys just had a legislative session where you literally could have authored and passed, because you had the trifecta, the George Floyd Policing Act. No, you didn't do that. You did everything but that. You passed gender affirming care, where kids, school age kids, can literally go get a sex change without their parents' permission, or they can sit there and go to school and tell a teacher that, oh, I don't feel I'm in the right body, but I don't want you to tell my parents because they're not very understanding, and they're not going to tell the parents, right? But see, when that school goes on a field trip, they need that parent's permission to take that child to the field trip, but yet don't sit there and need that parent's permission to sit there and give their child gender affirming care. Make it make sense to me. And I know people are like, oh, he's transphobic. No, I'm not. No, I'm not. Because y'all, while people are passing legislation, why not just have conversations to make your child feel comfortable, and instead of hating on something that you can't understand because you've never had those type of feelings going on in your head, or you've never had that type of perception when you look in the mirror that you're not yourself. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. That's dead ass, man. Shut the fuck up. Because we make these kids feel like they're not wanted and loved, all because of the simple fact we can't understand something. That's crazy as hell to me. But it's the same thing when it comes to being black. You know, you have so many white people that can't understand. Oh, it's not racism. You're just complaining. No. Why can't you see it that people look at black people differently? Like we're second class citizens. Like we're less than dirt. But yet people don't want to acknowledge that, because we literally can bring up plenty of instances of incidents where they'll call it Karen. I'm not going to call it that. I call that privileged ass shit, because of the simple fact they look at black people, or they look at black and brown people less than being human beings. That's the problem. And the only way that we get through that, there's no legislation in the world that is going to help with that. The only way that we change that is by educating. It's by educating and telling people the truth. Telling people the truth that, you know what? Yes, Red Wing got a fucking racist ass history. Yes, MPD racist as fuck. Yes, our practices and patterns when it comes to policing and when it comes to our judicial system is systemically racist. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about the color codes in the legislation. Y'all don't want to talk about that. And I'm sorry if anybody's leaving comments. I honestly can't see them. I don't know why. I this is why I switched to StreamYard so that I could see comments, because the last time I was on live, there was a lot of interactions and I didn't see them, and I greatly apologize. And like I'm saying now, if there is people leaving comments, when I get off, I will respond to them, because I don't want you guys thinking that I'm ignoring you. or any of that sort. I'm not. I don't know why I can't see the comments. Um, but if you are leaving, because I see there's been almost 13 people on here during different points. So if there is people leaving comments and I'm not seeing them because right now I don't see them, uh, I will definitely. Siri, take a screenshot. So thank you. So that's crazy. Though I can see they talk to my phone and they'll take a screenshot. Uh, but I literally want to make sure that I'm interacting with people because you guys do matter. This isn't about me. This is about educating and liberating so that we all grow together. That so that nobody gets left behind, and that we all succeed equally and self sufficiently. This isn't about handouts. This isn't about you know. Um, Trying to reap the greatest reward. This is about all of us coming together and forming bonds and growing together. So I want to read this one more time and I'm going to talk for a couple more minutes and then I'm going to get off here. But so today, the pledge for brotherhood. Starting from this day, I hold no grievances against my fellow black men. My mission isn't to cause you distress or harm. Rather, it's to endorse and elevate you. We already have plenty of adversaries. Stay secure and resilient out here, my black brothers. Now, I'm asking for black unity. I'm asking for black unity. Why is that such a hard thing? Why is that such a hard thing? Because we need fellowship. We need brotherhood. And it doesn't matter that if you're a vice lord, if you're a gangster disciple, if you're a blood, if you're a crip, if you're a MS-13, it doesn't matter if you're native mob. We're all brothers, man. We're all brothers. We all come from the same seed, God, and we all brothers. So let's put down the guns. Let's put down the colors, and let's look at for people what we really are, human beings. That's the only way we stop all the violence. Isn't no peace treaties, no gang treaties, no gang summits. It's not going to do anything. Not when the times have changed. There isn't no organized crime. This shit isn't organized. Back in the day, and I've been talking about this on Twitter a lot. If you guys are not on Twitter, please make a Twitter account and hop on it because there'll be some really good conversations going on with state legislators, with U.S. Congress people. I see they interact more on Twitter. So that's why I be over there. Right now, there's a great discussion going on about Ricky Cobb, the second, with some Republican state legislators. There's some Democratic ones and I feel like the conversation is really. I hope people are seeing it because it's showing people true colors of what people really stand for when it comes to you know politics and when it comes to their agendas. For the simple fact of we were just in a legislative session. We were just in a legislative session, and if they really cared, Cedric, Leah Finke, Zach Stevenson, Marissa, Izza, Zanah Muhammad, uh, all of these people, all these Democrats coming out and saying something. Y'all know y'all can go into, you can ask Walls for a special session, right? Oh, you don't want to tell the people that, do you? Because if y'all really cared about Ricky Cobb, if you really cared about change, you would ask Walls, and even Walls, stop putting out that you made a phone call. Because why aren't you asking for a special session to focus on policing? Because we're tired of this shit. We're tired. While you're at Sunfish Lake or wherever, the University of Minnesota mansion, and you're pondering all of this, you talk to Ricky Mama. We're not waiting 8 months and 5 days like y'all did with Muhammad Noor. We're not waiting 8 months and 5 days for y'all to do the right thing when we've seen you can do the right thing expeditiously because we've seen it with Dante, we've seen it with George Floyd. So I don't want to hear that There's a process because we've seen how that process works. When y'all want to do the right thing, that process works swiftly, right? Justice comes swiftly, but when you want to play games and you want to bullshit, you guys take your time. And what does that mean? Because, hey, justice, justice, what? Yeah, I'm not even going to finish it because y'all already know what I'm talking about. A justice delayed is a justice denied. I'm going to say that again. A justice delayed is a justice denied. So I want y'all to really think about that because when it comes to these shootings that happen on the streets, they can arrest us the same day, right? They can arrest us the same day. What more evidence do you need than to other cover it up and to get this officers off while you need all this time? Because when it comes to us, you can arrest us swiftly, 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 probable cause, right? That there's so many things that are in the system, the judicial system, that y'all can do, but instead, this qualified immunity protects them, right? It protects them. And that's what we need to get rid of because, first of all, that man made a mistake. Bless up, brother. Bless up. That, you know what I'm saying? Yes, Ricky made a mistake, but so did that officer. So why is Ricky paying for his mistake, but that officers, the state troopers, aren't paying for their mistakes? That doesn't make sense. Why is it okay for some people to get consequences for their mistakes, but it's not everybody doesn't get consequences for their mistakes? Make it make sense to me. Make it make sense to me. So again, I'm gonna do this pledge one more time, and then I'm gonna get off here. Pledge for brotherhood. Starting from this day today, I hold no grievances against my fellow black men. My mission is to cause you distress or harm. Rather, it's to endorse and elevate you. We already have plenty of adversaries. Stay secure and resilient out here, my black brothers. So, with that being said, win or fail, freedom or jail, heaven or hell, wish me well. Y'all have a great Monday, Monday motivation.